Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something pretty fascinating. The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, this has been a popular concept for 2 decades now?
At least. I know he's been teaching this to high achievers for a long time.
Yeah. It's all about how waking up at 5 a.m. can seriously boost your productivity, creativity, prosperity, all that good stuff, and ultimately how it impacts your contribution to the world. So if you're looking to make those early hours count, this is the deep dive for you.
Absolutely. The core message of the 5 a.m. Club is really eye-opening. Sharma basically says that huge success, it's not about your genetics, it's about those daily habits you create.
Right.
And that morning ritual, that's like the big one. It's about using those early hours to elevate your entire life.
And to bring this all to life, Sharma weaves these lessons into a very engaging story. It follows an entrepreneur and an artist who are both at major crossroads in their lives. They end up at this personal optimization conference.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where they first meet this really dynamic speaker called the Spellbinder.
Yeah, his presentation is intense. He really grabs your attention. Right from the start, he acknowledges this feeling a lot of us have, that maybe life isn't quite how we imagined it. Like the days blurring together, the weight of responsibilities, and being constantly distracted by, everything.
Yeah, all those screens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it really taps into that universal desire we have for something, more, something bigger.
Have you ever felt that way, like yearning for something more meaningful in your everyday life?
Absolutely. It's a feeling I think we all experience at some point.
And then the Spellbinder hits us with this really powerful line. Ideas are worth nothing unless backed by action. It's a wake-up call. Thinking about change isn't enough.
Yeah, you gotta actually put in the work.
He also talks about stepping out of your comfort zone, saying that's where the biggest opportunities for growth are. What experiences in your life have kind of shown you that truth, that growth comes from discomfort?
I mean, think about it. It's so easy to stick to what's familiar, what feels safe. But real progress, discovering new possibilities, it all comes from facing what makes you uneasy.
It's like choosing to embrace those challenges instead of shying away from them.
Yeah. Like, think about learning a new skill. There's always that initial awkward phase, the frustration, and then you reach mastery.
Exactly. And then the conference takes an even more interesting turn when this, homeless-looking man shows up. He delivers this really concise but impactful message: own your morning, elevate your life. And then there's this almost magical moment where he produces this image on a piece of paper, seemingly out of thin air. It's a really striking scene. What was your initial reaction to that part of the story?
It's so unexpected, right? This figure who, based on appearances you might easily overlook, ends up sharing this profound message. And that visual, it really adds to the intrigue. It makes you question your assumptions and realize that wisdom can come from anywhere. Have you ever had a similar experience, like where someone you might not have expected offered you a surprisingly insightful perspective?
I mean, it really speaks to that whole don't judge a book by its cover thing.
Exactly. And this homeless man, he doesn't just stop there. He shares these really raw, unfiltered thoughts about pain and tragedy, reframing them as potential paths to growth and authenticity. He even quotes Jonas Salk, "Man's greatest motivation is to find meaning." It's about finding meaning even in suffering.
Right. And he talks about how suffering can strip away those superficial layers and help us reconnect with our true selves.
So powerful. It highlights that challenges, even painful ones, can be transformative if we choose to learn from them.
And it's not about ignoring or suppressing the pain. It's about finding meaning in it. Like, think about people who've overcome huge struggles and gone on to inspire others.
Right.
Their pain becomes a source of empathy and wisdom. And it's clear the entrepreneur and artist are really drawn to this man. They sense a depth of understanding beneath the surface. And then comes this totally unexpected twist, the billionaire's invitation to Mauritius. What were your thoughts on that sudden shift?
It felt almost like something out of a movie. This crazy offer to visit a private island and learn the secrets of the 5 a.m. Club, all expenses paid. Most people will probably think it's too good to be true. But for the entrepreneur and the artist, who are both kind of searching for answers at this point, there's something about it that draws them in. Have you ever felt so stuck that you were open to even the most improbable solutions?
I think we've all been there at some point. And for them, especially for the entrepreneur who was even contemplating using sleeping pills to escape her pain, this invitation represents hope, a chance for something completely different. It's a reminder that sometimes taking a leap of faith, even when it seems crazy, can lead to amazing opportunities. So chapter 5, called A Bizarre Adventure into Morning Mastery, kicks off their real journey. They get the private jet, arrive at this stunning estate. It's all about immersing them in the billionaire's world. What do you think the purpose is of creating such an opulent setting for their learning experience?
It definitely sets a certain tone. It shows them they're entering this world of high achievement, a different level of success. It sparks a sense of awe and opens their minds to new possibilities. And it removes the distractions of everyday life so they can fully focus on what they're learning.
Right away, the billionaire, Mr. Riley, starts sharing his insights. He talks about epigenetics and neuroscience.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
It might sound a bit technical, but how would you explain its relevance to our listeners?
Well, epigenetics basically tells us that our genes aren't our destiny.
Okay.
Our habits, environment, choices, they all actually influence how our genes express themselves.
Sure.
So waking up at 5 a.m., it's not just about time management. It could potentially have a positive impact on your biology over time.
I see.
And neuroscience helps us understand how habits affect our brain, reinforcing the idea that routines can create real, lasting change. It's empowering because it suggests we have a lot more control than we think.
Absolutely. And Mr. Riley shares this key lesson. Giving to others is a gift to yourself. He connects generosity with joy and fulfillment. Right.
When he talks about his own philanthropy.
True leadership is about uplifting others, not just focusing on yourself.
And then he says, all that matters on your last day on Earth is the potential you've leveraged, the heroism you've demonstrated, and the human lives you've graced. That's a powerful statement. It really makes you think about your priorities and what a well-lived life actually means.
It really does.
What parts of that statement stood out to you?
Well, I think the emphasis on potential leveraged is so crucial. It's about not reaching the end of your life with regrets for the things you didn't do, the talents you didn't use. It pushes us to step out of our comfort zones and really strive for growth.
Absolutely. And with that, they gear up for their 5 a.m. meeting the next morning. This is where their deep dive into the 5 a.m. club truly begins.
Chapter 9 is called A Framework for the Expression of Greatness.
Perfect title. It starts with that 5 a.m. meeting on the beach. Mr. Riley immediately brings up Formula One racing. Might seem like an odd comparison, but he uses it to illustrate the level of detail needed for peak performance in any field. What makes this analogy so effective, do you think?
I think it's the extreme nature of Formula One, the speed, the precision. Fractions of a second can make all the difference, and he emphasizes how even tiny, seemingly insignificant details can have a huge impact.
Like he talked about how the Formula One team would meticulously clean the pit area after a car left, just to prevent a speck of dust from potentially affecting the engine later on.
Oh, wow, yeah. It's incredible. It shows that achieving legendary results isn't about these grand gestures. It's about being excellent in every little detail. He even says that a single oversight, a missed item on a checklist, could lead to disaster.
Wow.
So how can we apply this idea of meticulous attention to detail in our own, perhaps less high-stakes lives?
Well, it's about cultivating that mindset of thoroughness in everything you do, whether it's prepping for a meeting, working on a creative project, or even managing your finances. Paying attention to the small stuff can prevent bigger problems down the road, and it can lead to better outcomes overall.
It's about being present and engaged in whatever you're doing, not just rushing through things.
Exactly.
Which perfectly segues into this idea of the dark side of genius. Mr. Riley points out that the same traits that often drive people to huge success, like perfectionism, independence, intense focus, can also damage their personal lives if they aren't careful. It's like our strengths, taken too far, can become weaknesses. Can you think of any real-world examples?
Definitely. Think of a CEO who's incredibly driven and detail-oriented. That might make their company successful, but it could also lead to them being overly critical of their employees, creating a toxic work environment and strained relationships. Or an artist who's incredibly talented, but so focused on their art that they neglect their personal life and well-being.
Oh, I see. It's a good reminder that success in one area shouldn't come at the cost of everything else.
Right. And then he tells that story about the CEO who, when facing his own mortality, realized he'd missed out on so much family time. And there's the story of the editor who, after a stroke, wrote an entire book by blinking one letter at a time. It's a testament to the human spirit and the power of determination.
It really highlights the fragility of life and the importance of not waiting to express our talents. It emphasizes the importance of using your potential. What struck you most about those stories?
Those stories really make you think about what's truly important. They remind us that our time is limited and we should live authentically, prioritize what matters. The editor's story, it's incredibly inspiring, makes you think about any dreams you might be putting off, and pushes you to take action.
Absolutely. And then Mr. Riley shares his own personal mantra: I am grateful and I am forgiving. I am giving. My life is beautiful, creative, productive, prosperous, and magical. It's a strong affirmation. What kind of impact can having a personal mantra like that have?
I think a well-crafted mantra can be incredibly powerful. It serves as a reminder of your values and aspirations,
Mm.
something you can come back to throughout the day to keep yourself aligned with your goals.
It helps you direct your energy. And we see it having a huge impact on the entrepreneur. She has this realization about how she's been chasing things that don't actually align with her values and passions. And then Mr. Riley stresses the need to simplify life, both professionally and personally.
Yeah, focus on what truly matters. It's about quality over quantity.
Have you found that simplifying your life has helped you focus and find more fulfillment?
Absolutely. When you can cut through the noise and the constant demands, it's incredibly liberating. It allows you to really put your energy where it matters most. And it reduces stress, too.
Right, and that focus on simplifying and prioritizing leads us into Chapter 11, Navigating the Tides of Life. It begins with the trip to swim with dolphins.
Oh, that was so cool.
It's this beautiful experience with nature, full of joy and connection. Why do you think it's important to include moments like this within the framework of high performance?
It reminds us that success and well-being aren't just about productivity. It's about joy, connection, experiencing the beauty of life. Those moments of awe and wonder can really fuel our energy and creativity. It's about balance, striving, and savoring.
So true. And in this chapter, Mr. Riley introduces his mindset, heart set, health set, soul set framework. He says, greatness is an inside game. Let's break each of these down. He explains that mindset is about positive thinking and continuous learning. How can someone develop a more positive, growth-oriented mindset?
Well, it takes effort. You have to actively challenge those negative thoughts. Choose
Real.
to focus on possibilities instead of limitations, and see setbacks as opportunities to learn, not as failures.
Yeah, and staying curious.
Exactly. Always seeking out new knowledge. Practices like mindfulness and positive affirmations can be really helpful for creating a more positive inner dialogue.
Then there's heart set, the ability to manage your emotions, be grateful, and have a positive outlook. Why is the emotional aspect so crucial for achieving success and fulfillment?
Our emotions drive so much of our behavior. If you can manage them well, you're less likely to get thrown off by negativity or stress or fear.
Right.
Cultivating gratitude helps you appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
And positive expectancy can actually influence your actions and, in a way, create a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's about building a positive emotional foundation.
Okay, and then there's health set. This one's pretty straightforward. It's all about physical well-being and high energy. What are some must-have habits for a strong health set?
The big ones are consistent, quality sleep, regular exercise that challenges you, and a nutritious diet.
Yeah, those are the foundations.
And it's not just about looks. These directly impact your energy, how well you think, and how you handle stress. If you neglect these, it undermines everything else you're trying to do.
So true. And finally, we have soul set. This is about connecting with your inner spirit, your purpose, finding inner peace and meaning. How can someone nurture their soul set amidst the busyness of life?
I think it involves practices that allow for introspection and connection to something bigger than yourself. Whether it's meditation, spending time in nature, creative pursuits, or connecting with your values, it's about finding things that bring you peace and align you with your sense of purpose.
It's about finding those moments of stillness and connection. And the key takeaway from this whole framework is that true success, the kind that brings lasting fulfillment, it's not just about worldly achievements, it's about cultivating inner peace and a sense of purpose.
It's about nurturing all four of these interconnected aspects: mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set. Holistic well-being.
And we see the entrepreneur and artist's relationship deepening, highlighting how important human connection is to a truly fulfilling life.
Exactly. And that brings us to Chapter 13, Installing the Habit of Legendary Performance. This is where we get that exciting trip to Rome. This chapter focuses on the nuts and bolts of building those world-class habits that actually last. What are some of the biggest challenges people face when trying to form new habits?
I think one of the biggest hurdles is the initial discomfort, that feeling of disrupting your routine. It's easy to get discouraged when things feel tough or you're not seeing results right away.
Oh, for sure.
And that's where this principle comes in. All change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. It acknowledges that the beginning is tough, there will be setbacks, but it assures us that if you push through, the long-term payoff is worth it. Have you found that to be true in your own experience with forming new habits?
Absolutely. The messy middle, that's where most people give up. The initial excitement fades, and the reality of consistent effort sets in.
Yeah, that's when it gets real. But knowing that it's a normal part of the process can help you keep going.
Totally.
And then they talk about preset rewards for sticking to new habits. Mr. Riley says these rewards kickstart and then help to maintain motivation, especially at the beginning when you might not be seeing those intrinsic rewards yet. It's like a positive feedback loop that reinforces the behavior. What kind of rewards do you think work best for habit formation?
Well, the most effective rewards are things that are meaningful to you personally, things you look forward to. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be a cup of your favorite tea, a little extra time for a hobby, even just acknowledging your progress.
It's about celebrating those small wins.
The key is that it's something you genuinely enjoy and that it's consistently linked to the habit you're trying to build.
Mr. Riley also teases a bit about the 20-20-20 formula. We'll get into the details later, but he introduces it as a core part of the victory hour. That first hour of your day from 5 to 6 a.m., it builds anticipation for what's coming.
Yeah.
And then he shares these really memorable brain tattoos for habit formation, basically guiding principles to remember. The first one is never install a habit alone. It highlights the power of community and support, like the 5 a.m. club itself. Why is that community aspect so important?
It gives you a sense of belonging, of shared purpose, and mutual support.
It's like you're all in it together.
Yeah, you have people to encourage you, share strategies, and hold you accountable. It's a lot easier to stay motivated when you know others are going through the same thing.
Absolutely. The second brain tattoo is the teacher learns the most. This suggests that when we explain our new habits to others, we deepen our own understanding and commitment to them. Have you found that to be true?
Absolutely. When you articulate a concept, you have to think it through more thoroughly. It solidifies the learning, and it reinforces your own belief in what you're doing.
The third principle is, when you most feel like quitting is the time you absolutely must continue advancing. This one emphasizes perseverance, especially when things get tough, when you're tempted to fall back into old patterns. How can someone develop that kind of resilience?
It's about having a strong sense of why you're doing this. What are your reasons for wanting to change? Remind yourself of those reasons when you feel like giving up.
Right.
And it's about self-compassion, understanding that setbacks happen. Don't let them derail you. Learn from them.
Yeah. And there's this fun moment where Mr. Riley gets a temporary tattoo that says 20-20-20. It's a lighthearted but memorable way to emphasize the formula.
It's cute.
He also talks about the importance of keeping promises to ourselves, how it builds self-esteem and personal power. Each promise we keep, no matter how small, strengthens our belief in ourselves. How does that self-trust impact other areas of our lives?
It's foundational. When you trust yourself, you're more likely to take risks, go after your goals, and persevere through challenges.
And then it builds on itself.
Yeah. Success reinforces that self-belief, leading to more growth and achievement.
And Mr. Riley really stresses the importance of continuous learning, especially during that victory hour. Reading, listening to audiobooks, watching educational videos. He says, the leader who learns the most ultimately wins. Such a powerful statement. It motivates you to make learning a daily habit. And finally, he makes it very clear that morning exercise is non-negotiable if you want the 20-20-20 formula to work. It's not optional. Why is exercise such a crucial part of this early morning routine?
It has so many benefits. It boosts your energy, improves focus, helps you think more clearly, reduces stress. It sets you up for a great day.
Yeah, it gets you going.
And it reinforces that commitment to self-care and discipline, which can carry over into other areas of your life.
Chapter 14, the 5 a.m. Club grasps the essentialness of sleep, continues their journey in Rome. We find out that the entrepreneur and artist are getting engaged, and Mr. Riley offers to pay for their entire wedding back in Mauritius. Such a generous gesture. It shows how strong their bond has become. Then, in a surprising twist, the spellbinder reappears. He presents them with these scrolls containing a new learning model. Even in moments of celebration, learning never stops.
It's like a reminder that growth is ongoing.
And this chapter clarifies that waking up at 5 a.m. isn't about getting less sleep. It's about being strategic with your time, shifting those productive hours to when you have the most energy and focus. Working smarter, not harder. And Mr. Riley hints that he's saving his most profound teachings for last, which really makes you curious about what's coming next.
That's such a good point. And what did you take away from this chapter about the role of sleep?
I think it addresses a common misconception. It makes it clear that the 5 a.m. club isn't about sacrificing sleep.
Right. It's about prioritizing sleep.
Quality sleep is so important for your energy, cognitive function, and overall well-being. And that brings us to Chapter 16, The Inner Empire of Untouchable Execution. We see the entrepreneur's new 5 a.m. routine 3 weeks after Rome. It's a really intentional and well-rounded way to start her day. Wind sprints, weight training, quiet contemplation, gratitude journaling, meditation, listening to audiobooks, she does it all. And she's intentionally broken her technology addiction in the morning, creating a distraction-free zone. This allows her to tap into something called transient hypofrontality. That might sound complicated.
Yeah.
How would you explain it in simple terms?
Think of it as quieting your inner critic. Transient hypofrontality is when activity in the prefrontal cortex of your brain, the area responsible for self-monitoring, judgment, all that, it kind of chills out for a bit. And that can lead to more intuitive thinking, more creativity, more out-of-the-box ideas.
Like getting out of your own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's often associated with that flow state where you're completely immersed in what you're doing. By creating a focused morning routine, free from distractions, you create the conditions for this state to happen, leading to more impactful work.
I love that. And we see the artist acknowledging how much the entrepreneur has impacted his life. He says, "You saved my life." And Mr. Riley encourages them to imagine the transformations that will happen as they keep practicing these principles. He talks about the 66-day minimum for habits to stick and then the compounding effects after 6 months, a year, and he subtly emphasizes the importance of servant leadership. True success is often less about personal gain and more about the positive impact you have on others. Why do you think this idea of servant leadership is so important in the context of high performance?
It speaks to a deeper sense of purpose. While personal achievements are great, contributing to the well-being of others often brings a more profound and lasting kind of fulfillment, and it strengthens relationships, creating a positive ripple effect. In the long run, being known as someone who helps others can open doors and build a strong support network.
Chapter 18, The Twin Cycles of Elite Performance, is all about the importance of rest and recovery, something we often overlook.
So important.
Mr. Riley points out that even a small interruption when you're focused can really derail you. He then talks about Russian weightlifters and their work-rest ratios,
Oh, yeah.
highlighting this truth. Real growth and top performance don't just happen during periods of intense work. They also happen during rest. It challenges that work harder, longer mentality that leads to burnout. What are your thoughts on rest as a performance enhancer?
It's essential. Our bodies and minds need downtime.
We can't just go, go, go all the time.
Exactly. Just like athletes need recovery time, our brains need time to process information to recharge. If we keep pushing without rest, we become less productive, more stressed, and we increase our risk of burnout.
So true. And he introduces the concept of alternating between high excellence cycles where you're doing intense work and deep refueling cycles where you focus on recovery.
I like that concept.
And he gives a practical tool, the 60-10 method. 60 minutes of focused work followed by a 10-minute break. What kind of activities would you recommend for those 10-minute breaks?
Anything that gives you a mental and physical break from work.
So like short walks.
Yeah. Stretching, listening to calming music, mindfulness, or even just stepping away from your workspace and letting your mind wander. The key is to avoid checking emails or anything else mentally demanding.
Right. It's about completely disengaging.
Exactly.
Mr. Riley even shares how he experienced burnout in his 20s and how those lessons about work rest cycles from the Spellbinder really helped him.
Yeah, it shows how important those cycles are.
He then talks about the 5 assets of genius: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, creative. We need to nurture all of them for true well-being and high performance. And he recommends 2 full zero-device days each week, completely disconnecting from technology.
It sounds hard, but I can see the benefits.
I know. And he suggests longer quarterly breaks for rejuvenation and gaining new perspectives. Completely unplugging might seem daunting. What are some benefits of those zero-device days?
Disconnecting from tech, even for a day, can have a huge impact. It helps you be more present. It strengthens relationships. It reduces mental clutter and stress. And it can even boost creativity by giving your brain space to wander.
It's about reconnecting with yourself, the people around you, and the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Chapter 20, The 11 Tacit Understandings of True Transformation, takes a broader view, exploring how to live a life that's not just successful, but also deeply meaningful.
That's what it's all about.
Mr. Riley talks about finding joy in simple things: nature, art, good food with good people, and reclaiming that childlike sense of wonder. He introduces this idea of heaven on earth coming from an open heart. And he suggests that a lot of what we consider normal is an illusion.
Yeah.
People chase superficial things instead of genuine connection and meaning. He encourages us to use joy as our guide and trust our hearts, our intuition, and our inner selves.
Powerful stuff.
And then there's this really cool part where he presents 11 billionaires' maxims as magic charms. Each charm symbolizes a piece of wisdom. The mirror reminds you to cultivate self-awareness through silence and solitude. The flower is about prioritizing experiences over possessions and embracing a childlike spirit. The seed emphasizes lifelong learning as the path to mastery. The waterfall reminds you to practice gratitude. The flame encourages you to face your fears. The magnifying glass highlights the importance of time. The weights connect physical health with your ability to create. The compass underscores integrity as the foundation of true success. The heart reminds you that love is the source of joy. The journal encourages living in the present while learning from the past. And the red letter serves as a powerful reminder of the preciousness and uncertainty of life.
So many powerful messages. Which one resonated most with you?
It's hard to choose just one, but the red letter really stands out. It's such a powerful reminder to make the most of each day, to not put off the things that matter most.
Yeah, that one really hits home.
Chapter 22, The Heroic Human and the Daily Practice of Legendary, marks the Spellbinders' last appearance in their mentorship journey.
The grand finale.
He introduces the idea that extreme suffering is often a common thread in the lives of truly impactful people, that it can be a catalyst for healing, growth, and ultimately a greater ability to help others.
It's about finding meaning, even in the darkest times.
And he presents the heroic human circle, outlining virtues for those who want to make a difference in the world. He calls on them to embark on a pilgrimage to legacy, urging them to be more than just passive observers, but to live with purpose, decency, and impactful productivity. And his final message is to lead by example, embrace forgiveness, reject mediocrity, transform challenges into triumphs, and be a force for good in the world.
What a way to end their mentorship. What are your final thoughts on the Spellbinders message?
I think it highlights that true greatness isn't just about personal achievement, but about using your abilities to make a positive impact. It's about living intentionally, courageously, and with a commitment to something bigger than yourself.
Beautifully said.
So as we conclude our deep dive into the 5 a.m. Club, the core message is this. It's a roadmap to personal and professional transformation through a structured morning routine, and a commitment to key principles that encompass your mind, body, emotions, and spirit.
And for our listeners, some key takeaways are the power of daily habits, the importance of self-mastery and continuous learning, and the need for balance between effort and recovery.
And it's about understanding the importance of living a purposeful life filled with joy and connection, recognizing that time is precious and that we should make the most of our potential and talents right now.
And here's something to think about. What aspect of your current morning routine, or maybe your overall approach to life, could benefit most from these principles? What's one small change you could make starting tomorrow to really own your morning and elevate your life?
We hope you enjoyed this exploration of the 5 a.m. Club. Maybe it's even inspired you to experiment with your own morning routine. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.